Most small engines, you want to run a straight weight 30 unless it's really cold out. Because you want all the characteristics of a 30 weight. You don't want some of the characteristics of a 10 weight and some of a 40. And so when you're running in a condition that's pretty consistent, really hot, like in the summer, you really want to run a straight weight. So most air-cooled engines you see in this room right here are designed to run 30 weight oil most of the year unless the temperature gets down below 32 degrees, and then they go with a 1030 or something like that. Now, one thing that you want to never do is you're not supposed to run a 40 weight oil in an air-cooled engine. And that's not going to be in your notes, so you probably want to write that down. And the reason why is because a 40 weight oil under high operating conditions, which air-cooled engines run, a 40 weight oil will actually break down and deteriorate really fast. And you look at 40 weight, you think thicker should be better, but it actually, the characteristics of a 40 weight oil will break down and deteriorate faster.
What do you think like a straight 6 should be?
A straight 6? It depends on what you're running it in. If it's a liquid-cooled engine, it's a straight cylinder, 6-cylinder, I would run a 1040 pretty much most of the time. 1040 or 1540. Because if it's a liquid-cooled engine, you can run a 40 weight oil. And a 40 weight would be a better oil to run. And the 10 weight would allow you to have lubrication under starting and cold conditions. 80-90, that's just another example of oil. That's going to be your gear lube. And so the thicker the oil, the bigger the number is. If you put a number like this on grease, grease would be like 150, 180, depending on how thick it is. And so once you get above 140, it actually becomes pretty thick and pretty viscous. Nearly 20% of all of your additives that are in a quart of oil, nearly 20% are just additives. So if I take a quart of oil, and when I buy it, 80% of this is petroleum-based oil, 20% of it is man-made additives.
That was a question in like our initial stuff.
What are these additives? That's his question. So additives is a blend of the following. There's should be the 9 that's listed on your paper. What is that 20%? 20% is a blend of these. So when we say what's the difference between Pennzoil and Napa and Texaco, Castrol, the difference is what they use these 8 additives in and what quantity they use it in. And depending on what application you need, they're trying to make an oil that's best for you and your environment. If I'm working on a racetrack where I'm running extremely high temperatures, continuous operating temperature, then I would need a different type of oil blend than if you're just a commuter that's just running back and forth around town, which is going to be different than a guy that's in a big semi that's traveling cross country, and it's going to be different than a big semi that's running just around town. Those guys all have completely different needs with their oil. And so manufacturers are trying to figure out what mixture do we need for your application. The first one's going to be anti-wear inhibitors. If you watch the commercials and you see the commercial where they have a bunch of engines and they put different oils in them, and then they let them run. They take the oil out and they let them run until they seize. The one that keeps running has an extremely high amount of anti-wear inhibitors. That's the liquid ball bearings that they always try to advertise. And what it is one additive that's designed to stay between two metal surfaces even under high temperatures and even under high pressure. It doesn't squeeze out. But if that's all you had in your oil was the anti-wear inhibitors, all these other problems would cause that engine to fail later on. And so I can't just have one additive. I've got to have some other stuff. So I go to the second one. The next one is going to be oxidation inhibitors.